Please video like and subscribe this channel. The storm-ravaged surface of Zephyr 9 was a hostile labyrinth of jagged crystal spires and toxic fog. I had landed here reluctantly, sent on a reconnaissance mission by the Coalition Council to survey an abandoned research outpost rumored to contain valuable alien technology. I had expected desolate ruins, malfunctioning drones, and the occasional territorial predator, but nothing prepared me for the cries echoing across the toxic winds. They were voices, panicked, urgent, pleading. I crouched behind a fractured crystalline wall, scanning the horizon. 4 figures appeared, shackled and led by a pair of armored alien guards. The prisoners were humanoid but unmistakably alien, tall, lithe, with luminous skin that shifted colors under the storm's flickering light. Their eyes glowed faintly, conveying desperation I could feel even from a distance. "Save us, human," one voice whispered, carried on the wind. I froze. Only one of them had spoken, but the words were unmistakable. They knew I was here. Somehow, they had discerned that a lone human might be their only hope. I didn't hesitate. I moved closer, using the jagged terrain for cover. My pulse was pounding, not from fear, but anticipation. The guards ahead were armed with plasma rifles, their attention focused on the prisoners. One misstep, one wrong move, and the 4 aliens would die before I could intervene. When I reached a vantage point near the edge of a crystalline cliff, I assessed the situation. The prisoners were restrained with energy shackles that pulsed in rhythm with their rapid breathing. The guards were unaware of the danger I posed, and the storm masked any sound I might make. I activated my plasma pistol, careful to adjust the intensity for non-lethal disruption. The plan was simple: disable the guards quickly, free the prisoners, and get everyone off the cliff before more reinforcements arrived. The first shot disabled the nearer guard's weapon with a precise pulse. He staggered back, stunned, giving me the opportunity to tackle the second guard. Our combat was brief but violent. The alien's strength was formidable, but he underestimated a human's agility. One sharp elbow to the solar plexus and he dropped to the ground, groaning, unconscious. The 4 alien women froze at first, unsure whether to flee or trust me. Their bioluminescent skin flickered erratically, signaling confusion, fear, and hope all at once. "Follow me," I shouted, kneeling to undo the nearest shackles. My hands worked quickly, carefully overriding the energy lock. The first woman looked at me, eyes wide, and then ran without hesitation. The escape was frantic. The cliff's edge crumbled beneath our feet in places, forcing careful navigation. Acid rain hissed against exposed metal and alien skin alike. One of the women stumbled, and I caught her arm, hauling her upright. "Thank you," she gasped. We owe you our lives." "No time for thanks," I said. "Keep moving." The storm amplified, wind gusting like the roar of a dying star. Visibility dropped to near zero, and I realized the guards' reinforcements were close. We needed shelter fast. I spotted a cavern entrance partially concealed by crystal formations. It was narrow, barely large enough for all 5 of us to squeeze inside, but it offered cover. We ducked inside, gasping, wet, and exhausted. The women finally looked at me, really looked at me. They had faces of sharp elegance, with features unlike anything I'd seen. One of them stepped forward, her skin a deep shade of violet that flickered in the cave's dim light. "I am Talira," she said softly. "These are my sisters, Virene, Kayla, and Loretha. You have saved our lives. For that, we are indebted to you." I shook my head. "Don't thank me yet. We're not safe until we're off this planet." Their expressions darkened. "There is no escape," Kayla said, her voice tinged with despair. "The Zephyrian patrols will never allow it. If they catch us again." "I don't care," I said. "We'll find a way." That night in the cavern, we planned. Using my limited knowledge of Zephyr 9's outpost layout, I guided them through hidden tunnels, ventilation shafts, and abandoned maintenance corridors. Each step was dangerous. Alien patrols scoured the surface, their sensors detecting even the slightest heat signature. I led, the 4 women following silently behind, trust growing with every narrow escape. Talira occasionally glanced back at me, her luminous eyes studying every movement, every decision. There was intelligence there far beyond instinct or training. I could tell she was trying to understand me, the human who had risked life and limb for beings he barely knew. Hours passed. We encountered obstacles at every turn, collapsing bridges, malfunctioning defense turrets, and pockets of toxic gas that required rapid movement and improvisation. At one point, a Zephyrian patrol almost discovered us. We froze, pressed against jagged crystal walls, and held our breath until they passed. The tension was unbearable, the women's fear was palpable, yet I remained focused, channeling every ounce of adrenaline into ensuring none of them died on my watch. Finally, we reached the main landing zone, where my small Recon shuttle waited, partially camouflaged. I double-checked systems, fuel, thrusters, weapons. It was a small craft, but it could carry 5, barely, if we sat tight and kept quiet. One of the women, Lauretha, hesitated. "You could leave us," she whispered. "Return to your own world. You've done enough." I shook my head. "No. I'm not leaving. Not when your lives are on the line. We all get out together." Her eyes glimmered with something I couldn't name. Gratitude, relief, trust. It was profound, and I felt its weight. We boarded the shuttle, tightly packed, and I powered up the engines. The Zephyrian patrols noticed immediately. Plasma fire lanced toward us, and I piloted through the storm, dodging laser strikes and navigating jagged crystal spires. The shuttle shook violently, alarms blaring, but I refused to yield. One by one, I evaded every attack, relying on intuition, quick reflexes, and sheer determination. The women held on, eyes wide, clinging to the narrow seats. One whispered, "You are remarkable. No human could survive this." I grunted, focusing on keeping the craft steady. "I've got you," I said. "That's all that matters." Hours later, we cleared the stormy atmosphere of Zephyr 9 and entered orbit. I plotted a course to the nearest coalition safe zone, knowing we were not yet out of danger. Zephyrian ships were fast, persistent, and ruthless. But I had bought us time. The women finally exhaled collectively, their tension easing. Talira stepped forward, placing a hand on my shoulder. "You risked yourself for us. Not because you had to, but because you chose to." I shrugged. It seemed like the right thing to do. "You do not understand," Kayla said, her voice trembling. "In our world, humans are outsiders. Most would have turned away. You chose to stay." I looked at them, exhausted and battered, yet alive. "I stayed because someone needed to. Because you deserved a chance to live." Silence followed. The hum of the shuttle filled the void around us, punctuated by the occasional flicker of the dashboard lights. In that silence, trust had formed. Not the casual trust of allies, but the profound bond forged in life-or-death desperation. When we finally arrived at the coalition station, the 4 women disembarked carefully. Security teams swarmed to meet us, but my attention never left them. Each was alive, uninjured beyond minor abrasions and bruises. Talira met my gaze again, her eyes glowing softly in the dim light. "We are in your debt, human," she said. "You have saved not just our lives, but our future. We will not forget this." I smiled faintly, weary but resolute. "You don't need to thank me. Just live, and make sure others can too." And with that, they turned toward the quarantine chamber, a step away from freedom, their forms luminous and ethereal. I watched them go, knowing that our encounter had changed all of us. A lone human, lost on a hostile planet, had become the difference between life and death for 4 alien women. In the vast expanse of the galaxy, where empires rose and fell and species collided in the darkness, one choice, one act of courage had created a bond that would echo across the stars. I had saved their lives. And somehow, in saving them, I had discovered the meaning of trust, courage, and the fragile brilliance of hope.